No one denies that Overwatch, released by Blizzard Entertainment in May 2016, is an incredible game. After the game's massive overhaul and name change from Project Titan to Overwatch, it was set on a completely different course, from a planned new MMO to a hero shooter MOBA. Though not necessarily the original plan that Blizzard set out to do, it did turn out to be a success judging from the massive amount of copies sold and worldwide acclaim. So why are people complaining? Why are there so many problems associated with the game? And what kind of state is it in currently? Hopefully by the end of this, I've given some kind of answer to these questions. Overwatch's story is simple. Overwatch is an organization of heroes that fought against the Omnic crisis that was formed by the UN 30 years ago. It was destroyed at the Swiss headquarters, and two of the founding leaders, Gabriel Reyes and John Jack Morrison, were thought to have died. In the present day, Overwatch is being put back together in time with the rise of talent and a world going through crises once again. All this isn't told through the game itself. Well, not directly. For years, the dev team have incorporated bits of the story through their map design, with some key pieces of information being inferred by the players themselves. A lot of the lore ended up being player discovered, and a lot of contributions are attributed to the players themselves. There were also many game events that transpired over the course of the 4 years that it's been out. From the Sombra riddles to the Uprising event, there were many aspects that did further the story or develop the characters in some way. Although a lot of it is due to Blizzard's cinematic shorts that they released for the characters in Overwatch, many of which were received to critical acclaim and adoration by the fans. These cinematics are expertly crafted, beautiful, sometimes even heartbreaking, but it doesn't change the fact that the game is primarily multiplayer focused and lacks a campaign, something that Overwatch 2 might address. Is it too late to start pushing the story in a campaign? No, not really. It's never too late, especially because many fans would love a fully fleshed out campaign. I, for one, am hoping that Blizzard do come out with a fully fleshed out campaign or just something else that warrants that AAA price tag on launch. If it's just a reskin with the same gameplay, then what's the point? As of now, Overwatch 2016 is limited in what they're putting out because of development for Overwatch 2. So there's a low chance that any sort of story event will be put out until then. It's made clearer from the information that Echo will be the final hero up until Overwatch 2's release. As far as story goes, Overwatch has a great compelling story. We just need more of it. Although it is unnecessary because of the focus on multiplayer, it would definitely help in either boosting sales or solidifying its player base. One of the biggest appeals for Overwatch is its wide and diverse array of characters that you can choose from the electric and iconic cowboy Jesse McCree and his iconic
"It's high noon"
to the lovable Omnic Bastion, to the slippery assassin of Talon, Widowmaker. There are so many characters that you can fall in love with, whether it's through their cool and slick mechanics or just their backgrounds. Overwatch has been praised for its ability to create fleshed out characters with attractive personalities and for its wider representation. And it's no wonder why the community absolutely love them, and the characters themselves have been cemented in pop culture history. Also, Tracer appeared in Ready Player One. That's pretty crazy to think about. The gameplay in Overwatch is also one of the most polished in game history. Well, I say that, but there are many bugs associated with the game, patch after patch, that do become frustrating. But the core gameplay, like the gunplay, ultimates, and abilities, they all have a level of polish unrivaled in the industry. The way the sounds resonate, the click of the pulse rifle that Soldier holds, the iconic dink sounds of headshots and even body shots, they give you a level of satisfaction like no other. A level of autonomy attributed to the player is superb, and it always feels different based on your character. They do an incredible job of varying the gameplay and melding it together with the character's backstory. often making abilities based on their aesthetic and background. This is truly what makes it an amazing experience. To be the pilot of characters like Anna or Reinhardt, it just feels amazing. It's part of what keeps dragging me back in. The optimization on PC, at least from what I know, is amazing. Honestly, I used to play on a shitty laptop years ago when I first bought the game, and I was still able to climb the ranked ladder. The hardware isn't usually the issue. You can always adjust your settings based on what you've got, and it usually runs smoothly. Now this is where things get muddy and murky. The competitive mode is what attracts the attention, and to many, the complaints. Like any game that has competitive as a feature, it gets very toxic. Although I would argue the community is much more accommodating due to the efforts of the devs in implementing solutions. Examples are changing the usual slander in game chat to weird random positive messages like, "Aw shucks, you're the best. It's past my bedtime, please don't tell my mom." The report system also works pretty well, but has been abused before, and efforts by streamers to be a positive force in the community have also worked very well. Streamers like MO7, Emongg, Lats, Mushu, Jayne, SK, occasionally J3 are beloved and constantly showcase a positive attitude that work towards creating a better Overwatch community. Of course, there are many different streamers, but it'll take a while to go through all of them, so I'm not gonna do that. Toxicity in itself isn't a problem because it's there in every game, in every sport. That dad who shouts at the other children because he's too enthusiastic about his child kicking a football, that's essentially it. It's everywhere. But the big problem that I have is the population. Now this is less of an issue in America or Europe, but in Asia, Southeast Asia where I'm from, there's just not many people playing. I reached Masters a long time ago, and I had a desire to climb the GM and even top 500, but eventually there was just not many people at that elo. The population became more and more sparse. I kept meeting the same people. My queues grew longer and longer. Eventually my queues would, on average, reach 90 minutes. This was like 10 PM, which is when I could play or would normally want to play. My interest would keep deteriorating due to this. If you can't play the game, you can't climb. Seagull recently released a video, and I had hopes that maybe there were more people playing. Maybe I could play more and finally get to GM, but the problems were still there. The queues were still long, and it still felt bad to get a queue after 90 minutes only to play the game for 10 minutes. The game was just dying slowly here. And here's hoping that maybe this video could contribute to more people, or Overwatch 2 might revitalize the game. A more universal issue are the bugs and balance patches. For a while, Overwatch kept getting hero balances that attempted to shake the game up in an effort to get more people to play more than one style, or to prevent something from becoming too overpowered. Thus, the infamous GOATS meta came to be. Then we had double shield. We found our way to a pretty good spot this year, a state that felt pretty good for a majority of players. Overwatch was becoming more enjoyable again. Players that quit because of Brig and her suppressiveness were coming back, but Blizzard need to be consistent with the changes and patches and keep listening to player feedback. Otherwise, it will all go to shit once again. Like the recent Brig buff to her health. Please just continue the dialogue between community and developers, and that will create the best state of Overwatch possible. Esports in Overwatch has been pretty novel. With the inception of the Overwatch League, a franchise-based system where teams play against each other in a stadium or arena, it was something akin to the BPL, Premier League football in England, where each season the teams play a number of matches, and based on that they will place the ranking on the league tables. And at the end, playoffs happen with the best teams, competing to be the champion. This was great, but ultimately it created a monopoly on Overwatch esports. Unlike games like CSGO, which had many private competitions and a wide reach to create a free market for CS esports, it was centralized on Blizzard. And they controlled everything, even Overwatch contenders, which last year was at a low point, with many orgs withdrawing their academy teams. It was heartbreaking because a lot of players just lost their job. Then COVID struck, and it was even more of a nightmare for the Overwatch League. The season was plagued with management issues, and everyone wondered whether it would be able to pull through. It did, and San Francisco Shock became the first ever 2-time champions of the Overwatch League, but not without challenges. Matthew Super Delisi, the popular streamer slash main tank player for the Shock, mentioned that many players were demotivated throughout the season. There was a sense of decreasing interest and just difficult situations for everyone. I don't know what's happening for next season, but here's hoping the plan for international travel and play can go forward. Will I continue playing? Yeah. Yes, I will. Despite all the issues, I still love Overwatch as a game and I love its community. Despite many of my friends personally leaving for other games and frontiers, the game still holds a special place in my heart. 4 years. 4 years of playing this game. I still have that passion for it, as I know many players do. I've recently started streaming it on Twitch too, so if you're interested, check it out. Ultimately, my lowered interest does not affect my passion. I'm still hoping that eventually, with the release of Overwatch 2, that Overwatch can be what it potentially can be. A polished, enjoyable game packed with love and aspirations. In Overwatch, here's hoping that you live with honor and die with glory.